I think we can jump right in. Hudson Jones,
Sounds
thank
good.
you so much for joining me on the show and being part of these inaugural few episodes. And I have so many questions and so much to learn from you. I feel like there are so many
Oh,
things that we could
we'll
get
see.
into.
Yeah.
Thanks for just making the time. I appreciate it. So,
This is fun. I'm excited to be on. I've seen some of the other podcasts that you've done, so I'm really thankful that I get to do this with you.
heck yeah, let's go. So we like to talk about entrepreneurship on here, and that's definitely a passion of mine and something that I look for in potential guests, and at least to begin with, as I get started off the ground here. So I think I would love to hear from you as we get started. You are definitely entrepreneurial, definitely have an entrepreneurial spirit. Was there a moment that you recognized that about yourself? Were there several moments? Was there a journey to get there? What was that like for you?
Mm. Um, I think the way it played out for me, and I wonder if I should look up the definition of entrepreneur, right? Does that mean that you start businesses, or does it mean that you just start things? You
I
know,
think it's much broader. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
right. No, that's I should have looked that up because I never saw it as I'm a guy that starts a business, until recently, until like 2 years ago, really. Um, I was always a guy that started things though, and I think that the main thing an entrepreneur has is a vision of the future that looks better than the picture of the present, right? So uh, ideally, right? There's some bad entrepreneurs out there, and we don't want to hear about their pictures of the future. But if you're a good entrepreneur, you have this picture down the road where you're like, man, if this happened, the world would be a better place. And that could be tiny. I mean, it could be a tiny little thing. You don't have to like change the whole world with that vision, right? But I think that's what entrepreneurs do. So that's always been something that I was energized by is dreaming of something that could be and getting people together to make it happen. So most recently, like in the past, I guess 2 years ago is when I started my own little side hustle, if you will. So I always worked for either other organizations or companies. Um, so I did start my own business, but it was always, instead of businesses, it was, hey, let's start this new, maybe either department of the company, or let's start this new group that does this. Let's start I did an internship, like a leadership development program. Um, so I think that's kind of been in me for a while. Um, but I was not in the business world until 4 years ago. I was in ministry, so it looked different, I guess, until recently in life.
That's awesome. Are you familiar with the Working Genius?
I don't know. I am. I don't
Okay.
know my genius. I don't. I
Okay.
haven't taken the test or anything. So,
I
yeah.
was just curious.
I've
I haven't. Go ahead.
I've taken a few tests that are similar, but I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know mine. Sorry. Move
Whenever
this
you
here
started
real
think,
quick.
whenever you started talking about the getting people together thing, it made me think of the galvanizing, which is one of the
Yeah.
geniuses, and
Yeah.
how just much of a galvanizer it seems like you are from. Yeah, I can see that from back in the day when I knew you at your role at Summit, and then
Yeah.
even what I see on LinkedIn happening all the time is you gathering people, getting people together, and I'm sure, and I know this to be the case because I certainly know that I'm not the same as that, and I know that I'm not. Well, I guess I have similarities, but I know that as an entrepreneur myself, I show up very differently to entrepreneurship than others do, like yourself, and so there's multiple different things you can show up as, but that has got to be one of the main ones that entrepreneurs have is the ability to inspire others, and get other people together and lead. It's a leadership thing, I think
Right.
too. So that's
Yeah. I think that's what it was for me. Entrepreneurs, ideally, right, are actually good leaders. Because that's what leaders do is they have a vision for the future, and then they bring people along and say, "Will you do this with me?"
yes,
And and I think good leaders. are kind of inspiring people to the point where the motivation comes from within. So they're not dragging people along. People want to join that movement or that business or that organization. Um, so yeah, that's been in me for a long time. But I think it's because my dad was is still, but was a really good leader. So I had that picture of a really good leader growing up. And he actually, the main thing he did, he was developing leaders like that. That's what one of his main missions was to develop youth leaders. So young people, seeing them grow up to be great leaders. So I think I had a picture of that at a young age, and maybe I didn't even realize it, but subconsciously that was being poured into me. Of okay, so the world needs more leaders, but the world actually needs more healthy leaders. um, and so what is my role to play in that one, both personally, because I'm stewarding this life that I've been given. It's a gift to even have life. And so what am I going to do about that? Because each of us has some capacity to lead in a way. Maybe for some of us, that's two people. For some of us, we're leading 2,000 people. But what am I going to do personally? And then how am I going to help others kind of even bring it out in them as like, hey, how are you leading? What are you leading? And where are you leading? Because the world needs you to lead. The world really does. And so, um, yeah, I think that language has been in me for a long time and has just played out in different ways.
Hmm, that's good. Okay, so I would love to know a brief history of kind of where you came from, where did you grow up, kind of what are the chapters of your life, kind of a high flyby. What was your
Hmm.
education? What was your family? And then obviously career, I think. Where you get to, how did you get to this point?
Yeah. Well, and actually the reason I have this map in my office here at our house is I grew up in Eastern Europe. So I actually grew up right there. A city called Žilina in Slovakia. This map's from the 80s. So this is before communism fell, and like these borders look a little bit different now. So Slovakia has a line right here. But yeah, I grew up in Eastern Europe. We moved there when I was 2. We were doing, my parents were missionaries, uh, working specifically with students, young people, training leaders who would then train leaders who would then train leaders. So it was all about making disciples of Jesus, but pouring into them as leaders. So lived there until I was 15. So grew up speaking Slovak in school and English at home, and went to a public school, came to the States. Uh, I was a sophomore and homeschooled for a year in the States. We moved to Little Rock, had some connections here and family in Arkansas, and then went to private school for my last 2 years. So I did public school in a different country, homeschool for a year, which was horrible for me because I'm an extrovert and I need to go talk to people. Probably why I do all the networking stuff now. So, and then private school, and went to UCA, University of Central Arkansas in Conway.
Oh, there.
Graduated with a music degree. So from a young age, I was a musician. My whole family's pretty musical. Played piano, sang, and so I wanted to use that as a tool to connect with people. Music really connects people in a huge way. And also I like teaching, and so I thought maybe I could use that. So I um, was serving in our church as a music minister, a worship pastor, type roles as a young teenager and then young 20-year-old while I was in college. And then because of just my background with Europe and everything, there came up an opportunity for us to move back to Slovakia. So in the meantime, I got married, and we had a 3-month-old. So we moved to Slovakia to continue with the same organization that my parents were with, but using music as a tool to connect with students and to mentor them. Um, we would also do like preventative program, like drug prevention programs across schools. So like we were traveling to Slovenia, Ukraine, Poland, Czech Republic. So kind of all of that part of Eastern Europe. Um, Making connections in schools, but mainly working with churches to build relationships with these students, kind of getting in with these schools to build relationships with these students so that we could then develop them into disciples of Christ, but into strong leaders. So yeah, did that and for about 2 years, but had kind of a big moment where we felt like we were supposed to come back to the States, which was really hard. My wife, as an 18-year-old, was on a long-term mission trip and she felt like she was going to be overseas for the rest of her life. So that this was kind of our stepping stone into that. And, uh, but yeah, things kind of changed for us and came back to Little Rock. And the day we flew back, I got an email from our church, saying they were looking for a worship pastor. And so we started that process. So I interviewed and went through the process and became the worship pastor of the Summit Church in Conway and did that for about 4 years. Few years in, I guess I can't get this whole development thing out of me because I always want to develop people. I always want to help people grow and really reach their fullest potential for the kingdom of God. That's what I want to see in people. And so I started a internship for college students. It overlapped a little bit with the worship team and stuff, but it was really just a leadership development program. Um, I was like, hey, they're here for 4 years in a college town. Let's get a few of these students together, and hopefully, by the end of a year with us, they'll be in a better place to kind of be positioned to go out and change the world and do whatever they need to do. So the more I did that, the more I was like, I think I love this and have a passion for this more so than just like being the worship pastor. Still loved leading worship, love our church. And so that kind of got me through a lot of different, um, just ideas on, okay, what does that look like? Do I start my own, coaching business where I'm doing leadership development? Maybe I could be a public speaker and, do stuff like that. Um, but I really felt like I needed to just get out into the business world and learn because I'd only had, um, ministry experience mainly in the church world. So I took a job in sales with a digital marketing agency because I had a connection there and I knew the leader was a good leader. And um, so I hate digital marketing. Okay, I don't hate it, but like I knew pretty quickly, I was like, okay, I don't think this is where I'm going to be long term, but this is a good start for me to just learn under leadership and learn a lot of the skills of marketing, which has been huge, and then sales and business development, mainly through investing in a community. And that's what I did. I was kind of put in charge of our new market, which was Little Rock. And we started our franchise there. And so I was investing in a community and saying, hey, here's how we can serve this community. But beyond what we can get paid for to do, which is your digital marketing, I wanted to be someone that was like connecting people and helping people. Again, going back to this, how am I going to help people reach their fullest potential? So as a business development person, it went beyond just trying to make the sale, but it's like, I really care about your future. And you just start asking all these questions and people are like, well, I have dreams about this, or I'm in need of this. And it's like, well, I know someone that could do that. And so I was started being a connector, I guess, bringing people together and trying to solve problems for local business owners slash the community through the actual community. And so I was kind of the glue or the connector or the magnet, whatever you want to call it. Um, and which made me want to start my own business even more. So I was like, well, maybe I should start a marketing agency, but it's not necessarily digital marketing. It's like marketing kind of through networking in the community. And I was like, I don't know if that really works. So in the meantime, I took a different job with a moving company because I wanted to get out of digital and get into something that's like actually tangible. Because like this water bottle, like right now it's here, and then I moved it, and now it's here. So a moving company was it made so much sense to me. So it's really black and white. So um, but I connected with the CEO of this moving company through all my networking stuff that I was doing because I was kind of getting into this mentoring or coaching role as a networker. People started coming to me asking questions like, "Hey, how do you know these people?" or like, "What are you doing to connect with people?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm just doing my thing. I don't really know what I'm doing." And they were like, "Well, can you give me advice and I'll actually pay you to give me advice?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." So I started getting into that and met the CEO and saw an opportunity to do business development for this moving company because there was kind of a gap in all of the networks I was in. There was no moving company really doing business there. And so helped them kind of get some more revenue. And through that, got connected to a commercial real estate agent because we were getting into commercial moves, not just residential moves, who said, "Hey, I gave your number to someone." And it was the president of Hart Construction. And he was like, "Hey, we've seen what you've been doing, and we'd love to interview you for a biz dev position with us," which is really cool. I wasn't really looking for anything because I pretty recently switched to that moving company. So I didn't want to be a guy that kind of jumped from one thing to the next. But the offer was really good, and it kind of actually checked even more boxes of the types of things that I wanted to do or get into. Um, that the moving company didn't have. And so I was able to end things well with Elite Movers, which is I'm really thankful for. Still friends with my boss there, and then been doing business development for Hart Construction for a little over 6 months now. And my job is kind of doing the same thing. I'm going out, building relationships with people, trying to plant seeds for future partnerships. I can't convince you right now, "Hey, let me build you a really nice commercial building right now." It doesn't work that way. So it goes really well with this networking and long-term relationships and being someone that is trustworthy in the community. Uh, so that's kind of what I'm doing.
I would love to hear a brief description as well about what your current entrepreneurial venture is, your side hustle,
Yeah.
if you will, because we're going to get into
Yeah.
that, and it's closely tied into all these things. But I think that's the one thing that you left out of what you're up to currently. So
Yeah. So I kind of touched on it from multiple angles, but basically I started seeing a lot of success in business development through not just trying to pitch the solution that, let's say, our digital marketing company had, but asking questions, um, listening for specific needs, and then asking specific like questions like, "Hey, who would you love to be connected with?" Which can be a dangerous question because you don't just always give out someone's phone number unless you trust them. But if there's this triangle of trust where I trust the person that is wanting to connect with someone, and then I trust this person that I'm going to connect them with, and they trust me, then I get to speak for both sides, and I have to have like the wisdom to make sure that that's a good connection. But a lot of times, if there's that trust there, then people want to meet. They want to get coffee or they want to, have a phone call or a meeting or whatever that is because they'll be like, "Oh, you know Hudson? Oh, that's awesome." Or, "Oh, hey, you know this person? That's great. I love that guy." And so you're kind of speaking for each other. So, the more I did that, the more I was able to provide value for my clients in the digital marketing space. And so it took a longer onboarding, I guess, or like a longer sales cycle a lot of times. But once that person was my client, we had this deeper relationship and I knew them pretty well. And I was helping them in ways that I didn't get paid for. And they wanted to then stay with me as a client. So compared to what it seemed like, um, some other salespeople that I was seeing, they would have quick sales, but then their retention wasn't as good. They would lose those clients because the relationship wasn't there. So I started processing through that and like what that looked like, and um, was thinking, okay, maybe I can start a business that does this kind of marketing through making connections for people, because it's kind of like a lead generator, but I'm a trustworthy referral partner, let's say. So I'm a referral generator, really. So I could see it as, okay, is this a marketing company where I just give you referrals, and instead of paying, you know, Zillow or whoever, like for all your leads on there, just pay a person who will give you actually more high quality leads that are actually referrals. So I was thinking through that. I've never really launched that part of the business, because what I really just wanted to do was help people more so, like not have me just always be the guy doing it, but help people do it themselves. And because they were asking me, hey, I see what you're doing. This is really cool. Give me some tips and stuff like that. And so what I turned it into, and I called it Win Little Rock, because when you are helping your community win, you win the community back as a gift. And so we're winning this great place to live and work and play. And so the whole point of it is to help people help give people the tools, resources, connections that they need to help them operate in their fullest potential. But what that is doing is it's creating win-win relationships, win-win partnerships, where I am networking and connecting with people, not just to get something out of them, but I'm connecting with them because I have something that I can also give them that could even change their life, actually.
Uh,
Um, and so, because you never know, like I say yes to a lot of meetings because you never know who you're going to meet, and they have this open door to a place that you could have never gone to, just because it's their grandma is so and so something, and and you just never know where you're going to get into. And so I think a lot of people, and I'm getting kind of into the details here of what I teach in my networking stuff, but a lot of people see networking as fishing, right? I have to make a sale, or I have to provide a fish for my family so that my children don't die, right? So I have to go out and fish. And so people will go to these networking events or coffee, even one on one, because that's networking as well, with someone, and they're there to get the fish from the person.
yeah,
And when they win the fish, they go back to their boss and they're like, I did it. We've made the sale. That's great. Okay. I'm not a sales coach. There's a lot of great things that are out there on sales. What I'm trying to do is, instead of seeing networking as fishing with a line, and this is why it's called a net network, is you are building, and you're just a little piece of it. You are building this thing that catches not people, it catches problems for people. So the people are the net. And so what I have now is I have a system that is catching an infinite number of problems that may arise, because the bigger the network, the more connected and all of that, like it kind of goes infinite, because there's always going to be more problems that are coming into the world, because that's just the way the world works. It's kind of bent towards chaos, right? And so we're here to kind of manage that chaos, figure it out, steward it well, to provide solutions for people. So I am catching problems and passing them off to someone else who's holding a different part of the net. who actually has a great solution for
Mm,
that problem. So, what you do in networking is you want to have a wide net, right? But so then people say, oh, okay, well, then I'll just get tons of people's business cards at this event and I just know tons of people. It doesn't work that way because what's happening is your net is huge and the gaps in the net, because every net has holes, right? The gaps in the net are so big that the problems still go through,
mm, yeah.
right? And so what I'm trying to help people do is have a big net. That's great. But even if it was just a net this big, you can catch these tiny little things that wouldn't get through and that are actually pretty easy to solve as well. Um, and so the way you do that is you build trust with people and minimize the distance or the gap of knowledge, I guess, between the two of you. So I need to know you really, really well. Like, let's say I'm just walking around, and someone needs something. If I don't know what you provide, then that's, well, one, it could go to someone else, right? But it may just fly by. So the depth of knowledge that I have of who you are, character, what you provide, competence, and also the I guess the space between the time that we're together. If you're not in front of me all the time, I'm not thinking about you. It's just the way our brains work as humans. We're thinking about the thing that's in front of us. So we're trying to find ways to regularly connect with people um, on a consistent basis, but to get them to know them in such a way that they become my marketing team.
Mm,
So I actually don't have to sell too much because I now have, let's say, and I'm not speaking for myself. I'm saying ideally, you're right. I'm not showing off or anything. I'm just saying like, um, I have 30 people in my network where the hole is really small, stuff doesn't go through, and they want to catch stuff for me because they know I will deliver such a great result that it's going to be a huge win for that other person. So that's the kind of team I'm building, and it's not even that hard for them to give me that referral or give me all it is, oh, do you know my friend Hudson? He blah 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 blah. Oh, you guys should connect. Here's his phone number. That's it. But it's this confidence in each other that we're going to solve that person's problem. So anyway, that's why the network works or the net works is because you have other people who are excited about catching those problems and are actually kind of vigilant and not letting them just pass through. So that may have gotten a little wordy, but that is what I'm trying to create. Um, if that makes sense.
no, that's great. That's great. So it is, I guess, the business itself that you're working on is essentially what I'm hearing is kind of thought leadership around those topics. Is that right? Would that be a
Yeah.
fair statement?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yes. So I am doing some one-on-one coaching. I'm doing team coaching, and then I'm doing workshops where we get to play this out in real time, like at a networking event. The networking event is an actual workshop. Sorry, yeah, the workshop is a networking event, and we get to see this play out live where I'm teaching on something and then I kind of give them some questions and they're starting to make connections, and boom, they could have even just made a connection that will lead them to $1 million sale, but it's just because they're building relationship, building trust over common problems that they have or things that they're trying to work on together. So I do that. But what's cool about that is all of this feeds my job as well. So I come in and I maybe just say, I work for Hart Construction, by the way. That's my full-time job, but I don't really say much about it. When Little Rock is my thing that is fun for me to do,
Yeah.
but it's also one of my, in the sales funnel, it's a huge pillar or a huge funnel
Totally.
be, because that's one of the main ways that I'm getting business. So because it's still kind of fresh, I started 2 years ago. I feel like I'm still kind of beta testing it. So eventually, maybe I will turn this into something a little bit bigger I started writing a book a few years ago on this. Um, but if this actually works, and it's worked for me, but I need to make sure it works for everyone, right? Then I can get this out to more people and say, hey, this is a great strategy. Don't throw away your digital marketing. Keep doing the ads. Don't throw away billboards or whatever. This is a type of marketing that works really, really well. And it's super fun and it's relational and you're building friendships. Um, and I like it because it's like you feel like you're actually helping people. So one of the main questions whenever I'm talking with someone, I say, what do you need this week?
Hmm.
What would help? What are you struggling with this week? And just asking that, some people don't know how to answer that question well too. So if you learn how to like get that out of them, now you have to have trust because someone's not going to just share all of their business problems with you, right? But if they actually like trust you, they'll say something and you'll be like, oh, like a guy today, uh, he was like, well, actually, I'm looking for more engineers. That would do like apprentice engineers. So like they're just starting off. And I was like, well, have you heard of this organization that actually trains up apprentices and they pay them out of grants and you don't even have to pay these apprentices? Like, I didn't know. Like, but I had to ask, like, what are you looking for? I happened to do digital marketing 3 years ago for this organization. So I know pretty well what they do and it's free for the company. So it's like, anyway, just a cool thing that just came from I care enough about you today to know what you're struggling with. And hey, you never know. Maybe there's some way I can help. And a lot of times there's no way I can help. Like I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry. That sucks. Like I don't know what to do about that. But now I know. And then a month later I could say, hey, how's that thing? And he is like, oh, you cared enough to remember, like, wow, it's crazy that in our culture, it stands out to people when you actually value them? And so what that does is that creates just like let's say a McDonald's ad does on TV, it creates something in your brain where it's like, "Oh, I'm going to remember him. I'm going to remember this person because he showed me that I matter enough to be remembered." So that does something to you where it's like, "I'm going to remember you." So if you're doing this and you're not, um, I mean, it helps to wear the name tag of the business you're actually trying to sell because you could spend so much time trying to solve problems for people for free. So I have to be careful about that. So read the book Boundaries by Henry Cloud and make sure that you're just like, not just giving everything away because we'll all live in cardboard huts. But so there is a time to pitch your own company and sell it. But yeah, it's fun to get to help people. Um, and it comes back. They're like, man, Hudson got me a job, or Hudson, whatever. It's cool how it works out.
I think it's so refreshing to hear a take like that, and I love the analogy of the net, and some of that you teach about in Wood and Little Rock. it's it's refreshing in the sense of anyone who's in business has experienced, anyone who's really alive and breathing on some level has experienced the sales process
Yeah,
that is less than honest or less than trustworthy,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's a different thing.
People people know when they're being manipulated, and so a big part of what I teach is you got to be free. You got to be free and surrendered to not like trying to control things because people can sense that, and that's why we hang up the phone when we get the weird sales guy that's trying to do that, right? But I don't mind someone selling something to me if they actually care about me and I actually probably need this thing too, or they're a good option, at least because I might compare three different companies. I don't mind because it's like, no, I want to know like how this could help me and stuff. But the what's hard though is there is something, and people have even said like, is there such a thing as a complete act of generosity? Like, because your mind is like, oh, I'm doing this just, because someday karma is going to come back to me and or whatever, all of that stuff. But I think there are moments where you can actually be free, and it's like, no, I did this because that's what that guy needed, or that's what that girl wanted at that time, and for her company or whatever. And I need to just give up what I wanted at that time because it didn't really matter. So I think there are ways where you can train your brain to not manipulate. Um, but it is so easy to go there because it's like,
Totally.
okay, I figured out that networking's a net where I try to help people. So I'm going to help as many people as I can so I can become a millionaire. Right. I mean,
Right.
okay. Yeah. So anyway, motive
So
is
okay,
huge. I think you have to
yeah,
check yourself. Yeah.
that's fascinating, and I think it ties into this idea of like core purpose and why very well because
Hmm.
connecting to that allows you to be genuine and allows you to genuinely like you have a true heart, a trueness about you that genuinely wants to accomplish whatever your why is and what you're passionate about, what gets you out of bed in the morning. Have you heard of the book Start with Why by
Hmm.
Simon Sinek? Okay.
Yeah. It's great.
So that book has been a huge influence on me and the company that I actually came from before I started my own thing most recently. And it talks about how important it is to define whether you're a company or an individual, just to define why you're doing what you're doing and start there. And I think I've heard some of that come through for you. It's the
Yeah.
developing leaders. It's the highest and best, the potential, the greatest potential in the kingdom of God. All these things, these golden threads that are part of Hudson Jones's story. How does that connect to making you a good networker or a good connector or a good salesperson? How does that increase your ability to do that well when you're connected to your why?
Yeah. That's cool. It's fun that my why came through because you
Yeah.
remembered it, which is awesome because
Yeah.
I did kind of put it in there. And my why is like, why do I do everything that I do? Because the world needs more healthy leaders that are operating in their fullest potential. Right. So that's the why. So what I do then to fulfill that is I connect people to the principles and other people, principles and people that are going to help them operate in their fullest potential. And so, how does that play out in networking? One, let me one. One, let me touch on how my basically human sinful, I will say, just but selfish self can like skew that is now everyone is a problem to be solved. And I love puzzles so much and I love connecting things. So I meet with you and I think that I'm meeting out of that like, oh yeah, I just want to help Andrew, but I start treating you like you're the problem to fix, right? So that's the one thing that I don't want to do. Um but when I start to treat you and truly see you and I have to make sure I'm leading myself well in order to be free, but truly see you as a human that's valuable and that has something to bring to literally change the world. And by change the world, I mean literally it could mean this tiny thing in the community that you're in. You have something that's so valuable, so unique to you that only you can bring because of nature and nurture and all of the stuff that has happened. When I do that, then I don't know, it's like sparks go off and it's just like there's something people resonate with that in such a big way.
Mhm.
Maybe it's just because people they want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to know that they're loved in a way. And um, so what that does is it creates a network of people that just love being together, love helping each other, figure out problems because it doesn't mean that now we're in this utopian whatever state because the problems still come, but we're here to figure out the problems together and solve them together. So it's a network you want to be a part of. And it's a network that actually gets things done too, because it matters so much that the other person is in their problem state. I want to help them get out of the problem state, right? So I'm
Mhm.
going to try to do what I can to help them get into whatever the next stage is. And so it's cool how it's played out I've been a part of a lot of networking organizations and groups over the past few years, but I had a guy come to a few of my events and he was like, Hudson, this is crazy. I'd made more money at a few of your events through a few of your events than this whole year I spent in this other networking group. But I think it's because of the people. It's not because of my teaching necessarily. Maybe I sparked an idea, but the people that come to these things are people that actually want to grow, develop themselves, learn, and they want to help other people. So the reason Little Rock wins, win Little Rock and all that, or put your own city in there, um, is because we're weeding out the people that are only in it for win Hudson or win, like I want
Wow.
to win
Wow.
because they don't connect with, they don't, people will flock to the people that are kind of like them and like-minded in these ways. And so some of these people, I had someone come to my event a week ago and he said something that was a little off. And I had someone text me afterwards and say, man, that just didn't feel like, I don't know if this is the place for him. Cause it's just, that's not what we do. Like this, we're people that are actually trying to help each other and build each other up. And so it's so fun to do business together because I don't know, I guess, I mean, because we actually care. I don't know,
Yeah.
you know?
That is so cool to see, and the ripple effect that you're having in the community at large is incredible, honestly. And to me, it just sounds like calling people up to a higher standard, teaching them how to, if they struggle with it or if they need inspiration toward it, how to just genuinely love other people. And love, by love I mean genuinely sacrificially, like self-sacrifice, right? And
Yeah.
go, I'm in this not to be selfish, I'm in this to be selfless, right? It's the expression
Yeah.
of you and I's shared faith in Jesus and his example and these types of things. And I'd love to bring it home for this episode, talking about that a little bit, talking about your experience as pastoral leadership for
Hmm.
many years, the clergy, if you will, and
Yeah.
how that's switched. You have a unique story with that because you've switched domains pretty significantly. But there's such overlap and such lessons that you bring into that, and such the culture I think that you bring into that of,
Hmm.
I would say, the kingdom of God in many ways. And so maybe talk about that. Talk about any similarities or intersection maybe between those two worlds that you've gotten to
Hmm.
straddle in different ways across your life. But then more broadly too, how does your connection with God affect the way that you approach connecting people in the world and your work and your entrepreneurial ventures?
Yeah. Um, so going back to my Slovakia, the second time through when I went back as an adult with my wife and my kid, that really changed my life because I went back as this guy that was the son of the guy that started the organization. Um, I was really good at piano and singing and just really good at being in front of a lot of people. Like that was what I was really good at. And I also knew the language. So I jumped in and I was just like, man. And people even said, like, man, Hudson, you're special, which is so sweet. Cause like, I think they actually were, you know, like encouraging me, like, man, you're special. Like, God's going to use you in some big way. So I couldn't handle it. I didn't know how to handle being special, being good at something. And so I realized pretty quickly um that there was, well, I won't go into a long story. I basically had a moment where I was sitting in my car and I'm looking through the windshield. I'm praying and I'm just thinking out loud because I'm like, what am I actually building here, right? Um, and I in front of me, I was in a park, just sitting in the parking lot, and there's two trees. There's this huge tree. I don't know what it was, like some oak or something that's like the perfect tree. It's like very straight, and then it's got this like nice round crown. It's like let's put this tree on National Geographic because it just looks so good. And then like 40 feet from it to the left is this other tree that is it starts straight, but then it kind of grows kind of to the side. Have you ever seen those trees that you almost can like climb up into and like,
Yes.
and it wasn't that it was unhealthy. It's just that it grew crooked because that's the way it's supposed to be. And what's crazy about it is the more inviting tree is the crooked tree,
Mm,
right? It's the one that you want to go build a tree house in. And you actually could. It was like perfect. Like you could almost just like climb up it. The big, straight, tall tree, the limbs were too high. I couldn't even, you couldn't climb up it. Great to look at, great to see from a distance. Let's put it on the cover of a magazine and what, okay, that's good. But this other tree, what was interesting about it is it's growing crooked and then the roots are kind of going down at the bottom and it has these two smaller trees coming out of the roots underneath it. And the picture I saw was like it's covering these two smaller roots. And for me in that moment, uh, I had Carrie, my wife, and Desmond, my 1 year old. I felt like those were these two smaller trees that I am purposefully positioning myself to bend over and cover them because they are under my care, because they matter and they have value and that's I need to be a healthy steward of that, right? And I think what happened is this young 20-year-old that was really good at things. I was 25, I think, when this happened. I was really good at things, and I had this aspiration of like, man, I'm going to change the world. Uh, People are going to write books about me. Like, oh my goodness, the amount of pride that I realized was in my heart is super messed up. I can easily go back to that same person, and that's why I have to have things in my life that keep me free, I guess. Um, so I started actually crying in my car. I was just like, oh my goodness, I've been this tree that's just like, look at me, look at all these things that I can do. And so I get out of my car, just crying and like praying and all this. Anyway, I walk around the first tree. This is crazy. And it looks like a giant or God grabbed this massive supernatural knife and like cut down the back of the tree and it was rotting from the inside.
mm.
So like you couldn't see it from the parking lot, but I was like walking around and as I come around, it's just dead inside. Now there was still green up top, but there's death inside the tree. And I was like, good grief. Like what in the world? So basically the
Well,
question is, how long do you want to be and this is where it played out with business. Like I realized this like 2 years ago. I was like, oh my goodness, it plays out the same way. Like, do you want to be the business that everyone sees? Everyone slaps on the cover of a magazine or a whatever, gets all the awards and stuff, but you're dead. You're dead on the inside. And then you hear all these horror stories of all these bad things happening to these, great CEOs or businesses that just didn't have it figured out. And I was like, man, like it's worth it to grow crooked, you know? Because then it slows me down enough to see, oh, there's people right here. I have
mm.
4 employees or whatever. I don't have any employees, but like I have these employees. It's okay. Like I need to care for these people. They're here. Now, let's say you're a solopreneur. I have these, or a sales guy. These clients were given to me, and yes, I worked hard for them because it is hard. Sales is hard. But they were a gift. Like, they still didn't have to come even after all the work. They were a gift. What am I going to do now? Am I going to just stand up, push them away, or whatever, do all these things to say, look what we did. Look what our business did. Or am I going to say, who cares? Hey, let me care about you guys so much that your business is going to succeed. Right. So that's I guess the pastoral, the shepherding, the loving people like Jesus, because Jesus comes, has all the right to say, look, I'm finally here. You guys have been waiting this whole time. Look at me, look at me, look at me. And it's like the complete opposite. He's like, hey, let me get even lower. Let me go down and wash your feet. Let me get down in the dirt with you and touch your face you know, and to the point where people couldn't deal with it, so they killed him, which is crazy. Uh, but it changed the world. It changed the world because he said, I've got these 12 guys that I'm going to invest in. I'm just going to be with, and I'm going to pour into them. And instead of radically being this huge king monarch type character that could change the world that way, it's like this almost like this grassroots type thing. Like, it's like, I'm going to come in and I'm just going to serve and I'm going to help. And so then they caught on. They were like, oh, this is a beautiful community. I want to be a part of this. I want other people to be a part of this. I've never even seen anything like this. People want that, right?
Mhm.
And so that's the kind of community I'm trying to create with Win Little Rock is like, oh, and it's crazy. It's and you kind of even responded it to, you're like, man, I love that. Like, people love it. They're like, oh, like, this exists. This is so cool. Like, yeah, it's like a breath of fresh air.
Mhm.
Which is super sad because we've been doing business for thousands of years, and like you'd think that we'd have more people who actually care and stuff. And there are people out there. I'm not saying I'm the one that invented this. Like, this exists, I'm just taking the principles that other people have shown me that work. Anyway, so I think that's where it overlaps. Um when I left the church, full-time ministry at the church, I I kind of had to start over with my network because I had a pretty strong church network, but it was very niched in musicians and all of this stuff, right? Um, so when I was getting into the business world, I kind of had to start over. But it's interesting. I've only been doing this for about 4 years, like in the business world, right? But somehow I've gotten a lot of traction. Like, I look back, I'm like, oh my goodness, like, God's given me a lot of favor here. Like, and I think, and that's when I realized, like, about a year or two ago, it's like, oh my goodness, the tree thing that happened
Mhm.
10 years ago ish for me, the tree thing is playing out in my life. And when I actually embrace surrender and the imperfection and vulnerability, people are like, you're human too. I want to be human with you.
Wow.
Can we
Yeah,
be
that's beautiful.
human together? And it's like, oh, yeah, you guys also want to do business together? Yes, I love doing business with humans. And not, nothing against AI and robots. They're great. But
Yeah.
that's I think that's what it is. So
Wow.
people latch on to that.
Yeah.
Um and again, I'm just kind of processing, like, I started writing a book on this just because I was like, okay, this is cool. But I think I need more time to, like, kind of frame this out and, like, see, okay, is this just Hudson's experience or is this actually how it's playing out for other people as well?
That is beautiful. That is so cool. I am so inspired by so much of what you shared, and it's just so fun to talk to passionate people.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your passion and yeah, sharing your heart, sharing your journey, sharing your story with us. I think I'm excited to maybe do another episode where we talk more in depth about some of the tips and tricks of what it looks like to be a master connector. And I think as a teaser for those who are watching, that is hopefully in the works as well. But for today, I think we'll wrap it up with that. Thank you so much for your time, Hudson, and I look forward to having you back on at some point.
Sounds good. All right.